You shimmy past, shimmy past. We made it. It's the last email, I promise. Maybe I'll do a wrap up. Might see me again, hopefully. So, quick recap. We've done our prep. We've asked not to be a weirdo. We've got our questions ready. Now it's all about the pregame, right? If you want to crush a conference, it's all about the upfront work. We spoke about this before, and I think it's really important to iterate it again. And this is to add value for both everybody in the ecosystem, right? It's really easy to set the focus for Bush is listening, legal tech, but also let's think about lawyers as well. And I think the key thing that I always try and do, and I have this mutually agreed and signed off with my boss as well, is what are the key measurable goals we're trying to achieve? So if I am, let's say I'm going to a conference, and this is slightly adjacent conference that is not purely heavy on selling tech. The key thing is to think about the goals that I want to achieve from that. Is it network building? Do I want to connect with people that I've seen on LinkedIn and we've had conversations with? Is it I want to talk to venture capital and priority about what we're doing on our next incarnation of funding? Is it to get my head above the parapet and see what other people are doing with regards to sales motion, how they're selling, how they're demoing, what's new product out there? Is it something that we want to buy, or is something we want to improve what we do currently? Are we behind our competitors? Are we ahead of our competitors? Those are some of the key things that it's not always about selling the tech. And so those are some of the key objectives that I will be setting myself over the next couple of weeks. And I'm sure you guys will as well. If you're going to a more simplistic it's a terrible term, us versus them conference, which is delegates. And this is why I think there's a problem with it. It's often delegates versus vendors. And you go to a conference and they're like, oh, there's a lot of vendors there. And guess what? That's how the event is there, right? Pre-COVID or post-COVID, I know we're not allowed to talk about it. Life's got more expensive. And because life's got more expensive, there needs to be more vendors to cover the cost of these events. It's pretty simple. So I digress. Set some clear goals and objectives. And I always, if you're in the legal tech world, sign them off with your boss. There's nothing worse than getting back from an event and your boss going, where's all the leads? And you go, well, I think, I'm going to get back to you next week. Let's not do that. And on the other side, let's make sure your time is used in the most valuable way as possible. If you're purely there from a learning perspective, what are the key things you want to take away from it? I often help the delegates put together PowerPoint presentations afterwards. So when they go back, they can provide and show the value of why they went to the event and they are at the office 3 days. If you can, pre-schedule some meetings. I think it's a really important and little trick to help spread out the day. There's a lot of good content. There's a lot of content you've probably heard before if you're a serial events person. And so the best way to break up that day is to pre-schedule some meetings with people either you know, or you can get introduced to, or are going on LinkedIn. So set some meetings. Think about how you can break your day up. It's really important. And more importantly, pat like a boss. I think it's really important. I always try and wear the most uncomfortable, ridiculous shoes as possible. I think there's a lot of stress on people at the moment about what to wear at events. And I think this comes from the casual element that's crept in. I try and wear a tie. Some people feel uncomfortable about that. I know Joe Rogan does. So think about being comfortable, but in a professional way, because again, your projection on other people is always key to think about. And yeah, that's it. So again, the whole point of this was just to give some insights on how we think about conferences, hopefully provide you some value in both the newsletter and these videos. Like I said, we'll probably do a +1 post conferences, just to give you a bit of a wrap up on how we thought about it. Let me know if you have any questions. Love to see you in the next couple of weeks. And thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it. Speak to you soon. Rob out.